Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you're in the catering or restaurant biz, you already know the kitchen is an incredibly high-pressure, fast-paced environment. I mean, it's intense. But behind all that incredible food and seamless service, there's a pretty grueling physical reality. So today, we're unpacking the actual toll this industry takes on the human body. We'll be using real data and insights straight from occupational safety guidelines and equipment engineering. And most importantly, we're going to look at highly actionable, proven fixes to keep you and your team safe and sound. Picture this. It's the end of a massive, bustling dinner service. The rush is finally over, that last plate just went out, and as the adrenaline starts to fade, bam! A deep, radiating ache sets right into your lower back, your knees, maybe your wrists. Have you ever wondered why that pain is just so persistent, and why we all just kind of accept it as part of the job? Well, I'm here to tell you it absolutely doesn't have to be. All right, let's dive right in by giving that pain an official scientific name. We're talking about musculoskeletal disorders, or MSDs. These are injuries that mess with your upper and lower limbs, your neck, your back, and they aren't just random bad luck aches. They're directly caused by the workplace environment. Specifically, we're talking improper manual handling, super awkward working postures, and those repetitive movements that are literally everywhere in a commercial kitchen. We know you're incredibly busy, so here's exactly how we're breaking this down today. First, the physical toll of catering. Then, common kitchen safety hazards. Followed by how to work smarter, not harder. After that, we'll look at the equipment that actually saves your back. And finally, how to protect your team. So let's kick things off with our first point, the very real physical toll of catering and the true cost of all this kitchen work on our bodies. The crucial takeaway here is that restaurant work is just wildly demanding on our physiology. I mean, look at some of these ailments. We aren't just talking about a temporary sore muscle after a tough Friday night. We're seeing severe chronic issues. Things like plantar fasciitis, which comes directly from prolonged standing on those brutal, hard kitchen floors. Or take tenosynovitis of the hand and forearm. That's an inflammation of the sheath around a tendon, directly linked to repetitive, forceful actions. Over time, ignoring these can even lead to permanent degenerative joint diseases. Serious stuff. Which brings us to our second point. We need to figure out the hazards. What specific tasks are actually causing all this pain? Now, you've definitely all seen this. And let's be honest, you've probably done it yourself a million times. Forcefully lifting a 20-kilogram box of frozen food or a massive, awkward bag of rice straight up off the floor. When you lift heavy items like this, especially doing it repeatedly throughout a chaotic shift, you are putting immense, dangerous shear force right onto your lumbar spine. It is literally a fast track to a debilitating back injury. But, the danger isn't just in those giant heavy boxes. It's actually hiding in the repetitive daily grind. Take something as simple as using a blunt knife. That means you're using excess force for every single chop. Or flipping a heavy wok without resting it on the stove, which just wrecks the wrist and shoulder. And think about carrying a massive pot of hot soup. The liquid shifts around as you walk, constantly changing its center of gravity. That forces your core and back muscles to dangerously overcompensate just to keep you upright. Even prepping thousands of small dim sum wrappers by hand, day in and day out, can lead to severe repetitive strain. Okay, so how do we fix this? Let's move into our third area, working smarter, not harder, by basically just correcting our posture. We really need to adopt a do this, not that approach. Stop for a second and think about overstretching on your tiptoes to grab a heavy box from a super high shelf. That overextension throws your spine completely out of alignment, plus you risk dropping a heavy weight right on your head. The immediate no-brainer fix? Just grab a step stool. Seriously, it's a tiny 5-second change that completely eliminates a massive risk. And there is a stark contrast in mechanics when it comes to lifting. Bending at the waist with straight legs basically turns your body into a human crane. It puts the entire fulcrum of that heavy weight directly onto your fragile lower back. It will absolutely destroy your spine over time. Instead, you've got to get close to the load, bend at the knees, and use the massive muscles of your legs to push upward. Squatting down and keeping the load close to your chest saves your back every single time. It's night and day. Now, to actually make those lifting mechanics easier to pull off, you really need to set up your storage room correctly right from the get-go. Here is a super simple, highly effective rule of thumb for you. Store all your heavy, bulky items, like large bags of potatoes, giant cans of oil, or massive bags of flour, right in the sweet spot. And that sweet spot is strictly between your shoulder and your knuckle height. By doing this, you completely eliminate the need to stoop way down low or reach dangerously high for the heaviest items in your kitchen.
Posture is great and all, but let's talk about bringing in the heavy artillery in Section 4. We're talking about the equipment that saves your back by letting physics do the heavy lifting for you.
Look, instead of having your staff manually carry wobbly stacks of heavy plates or cumbersome folding tables all the way across a massive banquet hall, you've got to arm them with proper industrial equipment. Carts like the Queen Mary's are incredible for this. They're super durable, built with marine edges to contain accidental spills, and they can move massive loads in just one trip. And bussing carts, they effortlessly glide heavy tubs of dirty dishes straight back to the dish pit. No dropping, no strained shoulders. It's a total game changer.
But I hear you asking, what if you operate in a really tight space? Well, this is where modern equipment design gets genuinely clever. If you're running a banquet hall or prep kitchen with very limited floor space, nesting Z-type racks are an absolute massive space saver. Get this, 6 of these nested together take up only about 15 square feet. Meanwhile, 6 traditional bun pan racks, those eat up roughly 22 square feet. So you're getting all the mobility and storage capacity without sacrificing any of your precious kitchen real estate.
And definitely don't forget about the highly specialized equipment either. Moving hot, sloshing liquids is terrifyingly dangerous, right? But steam table pan racks are specifically designed to lock those pans firmly in place so they do not tip during transport. And when it comes to delicate, heavy glassware, stacking 20 by 20 inch racks onto a dedicated cup and glass dolly means your staff never has to awkwardly balance fragile towers of glass while navigating through a crowded dining room.
So, whether you're pushing those heavy 20-kilogram bags of ingredients on a sturdy trolley, or maybe you're using a 2-person team lift to move heavy trays of dishes, the core principle is exactly the same. Working together and putting heavy loads on wheels is the ultimate fail-safe solution to avoiding musculoskeletal disorders. I mean, honestly, why carry what you can roll, right? All right, let's move on to our 5th and final section, protecting your team, and looking at the actual legal and moral responsibilities of doing so. You know, occupational safety ordinances actually outline very clear steps for employers here. It is your legal and, frankly, moral duty to provide safe equipment, like those awesome carts and dollies we just talked about. But it goes beyond just buying stuff. You also have to proactively perform risk assessments for any manual handling tasks in your kitchen. And most importantly, you must actually train your staff on these procedures and supervise them to ensure these safe systems are genuinely being used day to day. Because let's face it, simply buying a brand new Queen Mary cart or a fancy step stool isn't going to fix anything on its own. Regular, clear communication and training are absolutely required. Your team needs to understand why they shouldn't overreach and exactly how to properly bend their knees during a team lift. If they don't know the why and the how, they won't know how to avoid those crippling, career-ending MSDs we talked about earlier. So we've covered the hidden physical toll of the industry, the mechanics of safe posture, the incredible utility of grabbing the right carts and racks, and the undeniable responsibilities of leadership. Ultimately, it all comes down to creating a real culture of safety. So I'll leave you with this one question to think about the next time you walk onto the line for service. Is your kitchen truly equipped to protect your most valuable asset, your people? Thanks for joining us for this explainer, and here's to working smarter, safer, and a whole lot stronger.